Wait. Welcome back, gamers. Today, we're gonna have a bit more of a focused ramble, right? I got a book now. I've been making notes. So hopefully there's gonna be less ums, there's gonna be less ahs, and there's gonna be less, you know? The Battlefield 6 beta is most likely finished now. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have this finished like before the beta's done or kind of like immediately after. But you know, we're here, we're doing it now. I've got some notes, and honestly, I don't think what I'm feeling now is necessarily gonna change too much, you know, by launch. So what we're gonna do is structure. I'm gonna go through a kind of good, bad, and like, or not straight to bad. We're gonna go good, and then the bad. And then just kind of move on to some general stuff and personally what I feel about the maps. Yeah, let's just dive right into it. All right, let's just dive right into it. We're crazy like that. Like, we're absolutely crazy. So first of all, I wrote down the things that I think I really like. Overall, as we covered in the last video, which, you know, you can feel free to watch if you want to, you know, hear me muse about why I love the series and blah, 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 and like a totally unfocused kind of scenario. So I won't bore you with that here, but the immersion, as we mentioned last time, beautiful, wonderful. Still think that's absolutely brilliant. On fire, exploding, debris going everywhere, great. The more I've played, the more I've realized that those times I previously mentioned where perhaps things are maybe too stationary, or, you know, you shoot something at a wall and it just kind of stays, still kind of there, but now that the map knowledge is here, honestly, I think that's dwindled a bit for me. Always feel like there could be more, but I think brass tacks, when you really take a step back and observe the map before and after, there's such a difference. It makes such an impact when you're actually playing. So while I think, yeah, it could be even better, it's not actually so bad that it's like a problem. So I'm keeping that in the good. The immersion's great. I think the destruction's great. The way the map changes, brilliant. The tactics and team play, I'm still noticing. Obviously, as we said last time, this could be because it's a beta. So perhaps people are, you know, just doing beta things, trying to get all the wee collectibles before the beta ends so that they can play it, you know, at launch. However, in spite of that, I'm noticing tons of people reviving. I think it's a bit funny how the classes are mixed up. I still think there's maybe a bit of a funniness with support having healing stuff. I think that's kind of a change, but I'm not sure I hate it. Like, I think I'm still getting used to it. I like being able to resupply the homies and pull the homies back from death. But at the same time, I think there's just such a specific niche with the support that's like big guns, ammo, versus a medic being more reviving you and healing you. But I don't hate it. I'm enjoying the reviving. And I think that should lead us into our next point here. The revive dragging is incredible. I absolutely love that feature. There's been so many moments where I've either pulled someone from the jaws of death, or I thought I was a goner and someone just pulled me behind a wall and rezzed me up. And even if I die, like, immediately after, I don't fucking care, because that vibe is just incredible. That fits the immersion while also kind of adding quite a tactile feeling to your gameplay, because you're not just reviving the homie, you're thinking of everything about how you're going to get the homie to safety when you do revive them. So, going on from this, I did put some love for the maps in here, but I think we're going to leave that right now, because I'm actually going to discuss that later, and if you have any problems with that, then I'm sorry. Sound design, obviously, it's Battlefield. Honestly, it's just classic. I like it because it sounds like we're so back. The echo, the reverberation, the jets flying over you on the peak map, it just sounds beautiful. It sounds like chaos, and I've really missed Battlefield's like brand of screaming, you know? Still how vulgar it was in Battlefield 3 when they said a lot of naughty words. I just think that really helped the immersion. I still think there could be more of that. This is a game where we're blowing people up and is quite evidently based on like what really is some real life horror, so I don't think it's a bad thing to give in to the realities of that horror more. But we're on the good section, so I'll just leave that as that. Moving on to I've put these things in because I think that they're not quite bad, and I'm also just not 100% sure what I feel about them. So they're in the TTK, the time to kill, if you will. I'm not sure if it's a glitch. I'm not sure if it's the way they piggyback your netcode to try and keep things feeling fluid, but It's not a skill issue. There is a thing where I think you know that you've ducked around a corner, or even that you've maybe killed someone just a bit too easily. It just doesn't feel right. You know, it just doesn't feel totally right. As we know, Battlefield has always struggled with netcode. It's kind of been annoyingly stuck to the franchise for a while, so we'll just have to see on that one. Just from discussion online, how it personally feels, and given that I'm only in it for the fun, for the hoots and the hollers and the immersion, the fact I notice is saying something, because I'm not really chasing that kill count or noticing it. I just, you know, sometimes it just feels a bit off. That's why it's in the because I'm not even totally sure. So, yeah. Now, this is just a beta, so there's a lack of like, yes, we have the little gun range, but there's no testing range. Like, I know it's just a beta, so maybe hopefully it will be in the main game, but going into some wee place to shoot at some targets and do all that is fine, just to quickly test the guns. But I really hope that the base launch has like a testing mode, kind of like Battlefield 4's. And I'm assuming they probably just wanted us to get into the online for that, which is fine. We'll forgive them for that if they have a testing range at launch. Next up in the I like the map so far, you know, but there's not one truly big one. And I think even just one big one would have went a really long way in kind of proving to people that, yeah, you know, like the Battlefield is here. And I'm trusting DICE when they say that they know, like, you know, like, don't worry guys, the big maps are here. I'm trusting DICE on that one. Not as much EA, but I'm trusting DICE on it. I do think we could have had Operation Firestorm. That's like a decent sized map. It's not new. And I think it would let people kind of experience the bigger thing that, like, we're so close to seeing, that I personally think we do see in a lot of the really good smaller matches, but that I think generally is giving people some COD vibes, which we will get into. So next up, before we get into that, is the spotting. I still don't love the spotting, fellas. It's just not right. You know, it hurts. Everyone being able to spot at all times just because they're aiming. I think you need to rely on that learning of a game sense, you know? Getting used to maps, being able to look for people. And I know it doesn't save the spots when you're just aiming down the sights, but it still creates a difference, because while you still have to click L1 to make it linger, I just wish it didn't happen until you clicked L1, except for special circumstances. So that's where I will leave that one on the spotting. It's just not there yet. I hope that's just we want people to have fun in the beta thing, and not yeah, we're gonna keep this as like a really crucial design choice, guys. Because finally, on the we have... Yeah, I'm not sure about the weapons on all classes. I know, obviously, in previous games we had, like, you know, the carbine and the, you know, stuff which could be used on everyone's class. I just think that there could be more emphasis on there being locked classes, especially because I think I wrote this in another section, but I'm just going to write it now. They, so far, have hid the closed section, like, way at the other end of your, like, UI selection screen thing, which is another point we will get into. Yeah, it feels like they just don't want people engaging with that. Like, EA is breathing down their necks to get so many people in on this game, right? I get that. I think it's honestly going to be low-key a detriment. They need to have the confidence that a lot of players could come in, notice the class-locked weapons, and actually start to appreciate it. I remember back in the day with Battlefield 3, finally actually playing it for my first time and realizing that this stuff was class-locked. And it almost, you know, that like instant like gamer reaction of like, oh, this, but I want to do that. But I actually really quickly grew to really like it. And I think, well, give us the option, but don't shove the other one so far away in the corner that you maybe don't even know it's there. I think they're really not letting people give that a chance. And on the quick match function, you can't actually select it. So it's like, you know what I mean? And I think we're done with the section now. So I will look at the bad. I wrote it in kind of bigger rating because the UI is not great. The UI is, as I put it, bad even. It just looks like any live service thing. It just looks so generic. It genuinely looks like a COD lobby load screen, which is fine. I'm not an elitist like that. I was an old school COD girly as well. But this isn't COD, and I think it's only going to confuse people and only cement a lot of those ideas of the ammunition of like, they're just making Battlefield COD now. That doesn't help, and it looks plain, it looks boring. You know, like, look at Battlefield 3's menu, And Battlefield 4's, there was like, they had atmosphere, you know, they really played into that immersion of everything. And it's just not there at the moment. Where's the soul? You know, where's the soul? Like, I want to feel like I'm on the battlefield. I don't want to feel like I'm in the war zone. You feel me? That's a good one. This is maybe a bit mean to put it in bad, but it is kind of bad. The settings when you're in game are broken. Maybe this is a controller thing, but say when you die and you're waiting in the kind of spawn menu, you know, you might want to change your sensitivity up a bit. Maybe you're blaming all of your bad skill on the fact that you didn't move quite fast enough, so you want to go quickly edit that. Well, nice try, because while you were trying to edit everything in the menu, the game got confused with the buttons and actually was just clicking things on your home screen. So now you've respawned as the recon class, and you didn't even know it. So yeah, bit janky. Thought I'd mention it because I noticed it quite a few times, enough to write it down. No vehicle placement damage. Yeah, that confuses me, because I think that was like an amazing feature that we've really all enjoyed in previous Battlefields. It was one of those ones that no one could deny wasn't valid within the series. You shoot at a certain part of the vehicle, like the back, or where it's less armored, or you've ruined certain components, and then those components don't work because you just blasted a massive explosive right at it. That just feels right. So to just see the standard 25 points for hitting a tank, it's weird. I know that like modern tanks don't have a lot of these exact specific vulnerabilities as World War I, okay? But I really liked that kind of addition in Battlefield 1, especially because at the moment tanks can be so helpful, and I think that helpful would be really nicely balanced by smart ways for them to also have to look out because of vulnerabilities, shall we say. These last 2 points I'm gonna harp on for a wee bit. The no server browser, man. Like, come on. Alright, let's be so for real right now. Let's be so for real. Why? Like, why is it not there? We had this, like, the PS3 could handle the server browser. You know? So you're playing this game with record numbers and you're waiting 4 minutes to find a map, and there's only like 4 maps to choose from. Just let us pick them, man. Just let us pick a server. You can even maybe get people to buy their own servers. We know how much you love the money. Maybe don't. Maybe just give us it for free. But, you know, that's an option. It's kind of annoying. You know, like if you're going to force us to use this system, I feel like you should make sure we don't just get put into the exact same game on the exact same team, because unless I chose that experience with a server browser, it's kind of annoying. And yes, there is the custom search. It's a step in the right direction. But yeah, just give us a server browser, please. Is that all right? Is that allowed? I think it should be. And if it's not, I will talk to DICE, right? I'll do it. Tell them, put me on the phone, and I'll do it, all right? Okay. Other general stuff. I started this as like was going to be in the bad section or the but I must admit, after the game of it that I played, I was actually quite alright with Rush. I've always been a big fan of Rush. I kind of feel like since Battlefield 3, it's never quite reached those heights, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I just sound like all the toxic Battlefield fans. But I think we can all agree that even if you like Rush, they always kind of struggled with Rush, which is weird because it's an incredible game mode. You know, when you'd have Rush and like Nosh Your Canals and you'd be slowly advancing up the map, it's perfect. And given they've got an emphasis on breakthrough and kind of going through the maps, I just wonder why this doesn't work as much. So my initial reaction was like 12v12, excusez-moi, and I know that's how it was originally, I think, when Rush was first introduced, and maybe things will be different in the actual launch, but I don't, you know, maybe this is a maybe this does count as a because while that game was fun, hopefully maybe the bigger maps can give us a bit more players on Rush. Maybe they're doing the size of player count relative to map size, which would be fine. But yeah, it was a fun game though. I actually managed to defuse it and it popped my name on the screen and everything, and I felt so proud. It's nice hearing the sound effects too as well. I love the sound of the M-com. So I guess we can also give that a cheeky good thing for the sound design as well. Moving on now, honestly, I've just got some general notes. I'm playing on a PS5 and I always love these features. The haptic feedback and the speaker through the controller. Love it. I love it. I remember when I was first flying a jet on the Peak map and it was all blaring through the controller, like I actually got a fright. It's so immersive and it really helps give you that feeling of literally being in a cockpit. It just adds something. And the fact they have different settings for this haptic feedback and stuff, always appreciated. Big win on that. Love that. Totally helps. And frankly, it's always good to see devs remember that it exists. Kind of Sony's fault as well, but I kind of feel like people forget the haptics exist. But they go a long way. You know, they go a long way. Oh yeah, I swear every time I dive out a building and like break my character's legs, the game's like, you can just double tap circle to roll. By the way, you don't need to, you know, destroy your legs every single time. I forget, man. Which also, adding to that, actually, I still do think the sliding needs some work. I don't think it's awful. I don't feel it's COD, okay, but I do think the sliding is maybe just a bit too. It is a bit too easy to move, shoot, slide, shoot, go prone and shoot. Maybe a bit too easy for that. So we could maybe bring that down a bit. Started using the M4 last night. Fucking brilliant. Thought it was kind of busted, so I wrote that down. Yeah, another thing. I'm curious as to how long the tank carcasses last, because there's a lot of them scattered around the map. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do it for this beta period, and I'm not sure if someone else has already done it. I'd love to test how long the carcasses remain for, because the map changing from all of these natural things that players have done, like destroying buildings and destroying vehicles and that impacting map flow, I'm all for that, but I don't actually totally know how impactful that is, so leaving that out for now. I mentioned about the lighting in my last video, and I still think something's off with it. I didn't find it to be as blurry, but like I thought, that might have just been me getting used to the game. I noticed that if you turn your lighting down a wee bit, I put mine to about 45, that helps with the visibility quite a bit. But the game can be very overexposed, and it's like, I get it, because you want it to look cinematic, but it's not actually too immersive when your eyes just literally can't see anything. So I'm just going to honestly talk about the maps here, and some of the complaints that people are talking about I don't agree with, so maybe I should just start there, because I think one of the main complaints that people keep bringing up is how this isn't Battlefield and how this is COD, right? And while I'm not saying you're wrong for any sort of, you know, opinion based on the subjectivity of art, but it kind of makes me feel like, do you actually play COD? Yes, if you constantly run and gun, you'll probably die. But I feel like a lot of these complaints about people running, gunning, and dying, and running, gunning, and dying is because they're just running, gunning, and dying. You can take it slow. Don't need to chase the kills. You can take things slower. Look how you're maybe going to help your team in the moment. Most moments. You can hang back. You can try and think of plans. I think the length of time that I am alive, even in the chaotic moments of this beta, they're still longer than COD. COD, I just don't agree that they're the same. And I think that while COD has a lot of funnels, which is true, and these maps do have funnels, they have a layer of density to them and levels, which COD just doesn't have. That, in conjunction with the destruction in the vehicles, even though these are small maps, I think they distinguish themselves enough. I'm not saying there's not something there to keep in mind and discuss and be critical of, but I don't think it's that terrible. So I'm going to start off the favourite maps in spirit of this with what might be potentially controversial, but I actually love Empire State. Yeah, I love Empire State. I do. I think it's very dense. You've got multiple layers, you've got so many routes. The actual like granular detail, which is the same on all the maps, is very impressive. And there's destruction on it, like the bridge in the middle. I like it. I think it's good. Pace was great. Used some smokes, which are very important actually. I meant to mention that earlier. Smoke grenades. If you want to advance, if you want to take things slow, like we mentioned earlier, just keep smoke grenades in mind. I'm kind of glad I remembered it for talking about this map, because I'm pretty sure I have some clips from this map where I was using smoke to advance just on my own. It was silly, it was fun. So I like Empire, and I also like having more maps set in the Western world, because frankly I always feel like we're shooting up other places and we forget that, you know, we can do that at home. I love Siege of Cairo. I don't even need to look at the notes for that one. I love Siege of Cairo. Are we annoying trouble with like the roof glitch at the moment? I think that can be fought against once we have the ladders and stuff. That map just feels like a classic Battlefield map. Maybe I am going to look at the notes so that I don't forget any of the good points. Yeah, it's tight, it's dense, it's Battlefield to the core, in my opinion, and every match on it feels like a new match for the first time. I think it's got good flow, I think there's a lot of different routes, you can take things different, and it just formulates around exactly all of your team's moves. I honestly think that map's going to go down as a classic, and rightfully so. Lots of places to hide, lots of places to run, the skybox is gorgeous, it's such a feeling and it's so Battlefield. So Siege of Cairo. Yeah. For Iberian Offensive, I like it. I'm not 100%, but overall, yeah, I like it. The destruction impact on it is so-so. I think it's definitely more visual on Iberian Offensive, which, don't get me wrong, is still immersive, and it's still very atmospheric. I still think it could maybe be more tactical. But I also don't mind if some maps maybe aren't as totally overblown with the destruction, and maybe in place with the rest of the maps, it'll have its place. But honestly, I don't dislike it. Maybe just not crazy about it. Unexpectedly, the Peak one, as we mentioned before last time. I love the Peak map. It's Sniper's Paradise. It really, really is. The destruction is kind of so-so, but there's a lot of elements to it that I think are great. There's the jets whizzing by. It's an open space. While we mentioned there's a lot of snipers, if you decide to go in a tank or are chilling with a good tank crew, you can really hold them back. And I had some great moments in that map where I was just in a tank with my boy or gal, and we were just out there holding back the snipers and, keeping things chaotic enough moving forward that our team could push. And the snipers really weren't that much of an issue anymore in this beta, I noticed, as we all got used to the maps more. So while there's still a big thing in it, it's not like they can't easily be countered against. So I like that one. I also really like cruising around in the truck again. I missed battlefielding in the rig with everyone sitting in the seats, someone on the turret, and then everyone else just hopping on board. Love that vibe. Yeah, that is peak. That's just it. You probably don't even live that long because you get shot instantly, but there's something about that feeling of just you and your boys cruising about in their little wagon thing. I think I've only gotten 2 kills with the turrets, but it's more about the vibe. And I didn't get a chance to listen to the radio in it, which is my bad. I'm really sorry. If you watched half an hour into this waiting for me to say if the radio was good, I'm so sorry, okay? Can we just move past it? Okay. I'm struggling to read my own handwriting, but yeah. I'll just end this on a wee, I wonder. I wonder about the campaign. Battlefield campaigns have always been a bit shaky, but they tried. It's lost its way over time, but if you remember, there was a time where people were always quite hyped for the Battlefield campaigns. And even at the time, even though it was a bit goofy in some places, the Battlefield 3 one did try. It actually really did try. And I think aesthetically, it still has a lot going for it. Battlefield 4's, I liked. The fact I still remember a lot about that story and characters, I think says a lot. I did have to replay the story a lot because I don't know if you guys will remember, in Battlefield 4, it would constantly remove your save data when the game first came out, so I kind of had to keep replaying the campaign, and I think I have that, every now and then I get a new, kind of drilled into my head because of it. So I digress, but yeah. Battlefield 1 had the episodes, some of them were good, there was heart. Not gonna lie, Battlefield 5 I didn't really mind about. Battlefield Hardlines, I kind of liked the campaign of Hardline. Bit goofy, but I was oddly invested in that. But I think I just have my own love for Hardline that maybe I should get into another time again and make another video on, perhaps. But that will be another day because I think that is me for now. Remember, no pre-orders, okay? No pre-orders, all right? It is great. I am excited for launch. I'm not going to pre-order it. I just want to make this the closing statement. Don't pre-order it, all right? Just don't. I know there's going to be... It's your money, it's your decision. I am not allowed to tell you otherwise, but I will be very disappointed if you do, okay? We'll be able to move past it, we can talk about it, but I'll be hurt. And we'll have to talk about it for a long time. Just don't pre-order it. There's no need nowadays. If things are digital, you'll get them digital. There's enough physical copies sold on every retailer because... they just are. It's gaming. They're not going to go anywhere. And EA proves time and time again that they can fuck things up really easily. So while we're all excited and we're waiting to see how this goes, I think there's still a lot of us that are waiting to see if EA is going to mess it up. Fingers crossed that they don't, but it's EA. So no pre-orders. If you have stayed this whole time, I thank you. It's really appreciated. I genuinely love talking about this stuff. And I promise, maybe this will be a deal breaker for you. Maybe it won't. I'm not just going to be a Battlefield channel. I just love Battlefield and I played it a lot growing up. So this beta kind of kicked me into gear to actually start doing more stuff and chatting, instead of repeating the same things to everyone in my life while they just sit there and go like, yeah, mate, that's really cool. Yeah, the building explodes. Wow. Yep. Can I get back to my life now? And then I'm like, no, because I didn't tell you about the trucks and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, again, more of a ramble. Hopefully this one will be a bit better edited. If you want, you could do me a cheeky favor and hit that like button. That would be great. If you want to do me an even cheekier favor, you can smash that like button. And if you want to be just absolutely crazy, you could throw a grenade in it or something. Who knows? Could that would be insane. And you'd probably lose your computer and you wouldn't be able to watch any more of the videos. So maybe don't do that. If you subscribe, I'm not even going to ask you to, but if you do,